everybody. Welcome to Parents and Baby TV. I am your host, Cora Gambino, and we are here today with Rachel and Amelia, the owners of Your Nanny Boutique. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So let's talk a little bit about your agency, Your Nanny Boutique. What exactly is it?
We are a full-service childcare agency offering full-time nannies all the way down to date night sitters. We provide a very personalized approach to childcare, meaning we interview candidates directly, we talk to families, and I personally work with them throughout the entire process. We set ourselves apart by taking that type of approach.
So how exactly does your agency, Your Nanny Boutique, differ from other agencies?
Yeah, that's a great question.
So we're a little bit different than most nanny agencies. We take a 10-step qualification process when looking for our candidates to make sure that our families are really getting the best candidates. Our main goal is to make finding a nanny or a sitter an easy task when it's such a daunting thing to leave your children with other people to begin with. So this 10-step qualification process really allows the families to focus on the connection that they have with the caregiver rather than worrying about the qualifications.
And to tag on to that, a lot of families that I speak to on the phone who are just interested in learning a little bit more about our services ask why we differ from, let's say, care.com or a site where they could just go and look for a nanny on their own. And my answer always is that, especially in the state of New Jersey, there are so many caregivers that range in their qualifications. There are some that have just a couple of years of experience, some that have a lot. And what we do is make sure that through this 10-step qualification process that Rachel talked about, that we are sending to families caregivers that we think would be a great fit for them that have already been qualified. So they don't have to worry about sorting through hundreds of candidates that have applied to their position that they posted on one of these sites. Rather, we send them half a dozen candidates that are excellent and have every single qualification, and we've check marked each box for them to consider. It takes a lot of the legwork out. One thing that also sets us apart from other agencies in the area is we background check and drug test each one of our candidates before a family even sees a paper profile that,
Well, that's amazing because usually sometimes you get hired first and then that process happens.
So we have been nannies. Together we have over 20 years of nanny experience, and we saw that there was a fundamental flaw with the way that agencies presented nannies to families. We think it's a big deal for a stranger to walk into your home and meet me and meet your kids and you. So we wanted to make sure that any way that we could make sure that this person was responsible and in it for the right reasons was done. So that's always been a no-brainer since we opened, that we would make sure every candidate was completely okay to come meet families and their kids.
Of course. So what do you look for in hiring a nanny? Because I know for me as a mom of two, I do not leave my kids just with anybody. I have my own list of, the do's and the do nots and all that stuff. So for you, what exactly do you look for in a nanny?
Yeah, so when submitting an application, there are a few things that need to be met just from the get-go. A few of them are, there is a minimum age requirement. We don't want anybody too young to be watching and responsible for children. We require 2 years of professional childcare experience as well. And
we also have a background check process that goes through a motor vehicle report for nanny in case they're driving, their criminal history, sex offender registry, social security number trace, which just makes sure that everybody is legally able to work in the United States.
yeah, so there's a few things that we definitely go through. We have a checklist of things to make sure that we are sending the most qualified people to our families.
And do you have a nanny for all? Like, let's say, my son is so hyper, so we want to make sure that there is a nanny for all. So do you have nannies for all? How do you place them? How do you make your match?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a nanny for every family out there that wants one. Really just communicating with the families and finding exactly what it is that they're looking for is the most important thing to us. We are, big on saving time, and so if we can narrow down our selection of nannies and the candidates that we can send you, that is the most important thing to us. So.
When I'm talking with families, I always ask them to give me an ideal picture of their perfect candidate. And if energy level is something that they're looking for, or the ability to help with homework, we then concentrate on caregivers that say that those are part of their specialties.
Do you look for any other accreditations for your nannies, such as college educated, or do they have any specific talents?
Yeah, I think every nanny is a little bit different, hence every nanny for a family that would like one. We do have nannies that have bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, even nannies that have PhDs or that have been doctors before, things like that. There's a very wide range. One thing that we do require of all of our nannies is to be basic INA nanny certified. So when a nanny is coming to your house and you've extended an employment agreement to a nanny, you can rest assured that according to the International Nanny Association, they have passed the test.
They're also all CPR and first aid certified, and each candidate has had to have at least had a high school education or equivalent. Most that we've worked with have at least some college education, if not higher, like Rachel was mentioning.
Let's talk about nanny horror stories. I have seen so many videos on Facebook, on the news, my friends, even me personally, having that horror story where children are being neglected. Sometimes they're even being abused. What do you do to ensure that this doesn't happen? Now, if I saw it online, that means that there's cameras on premises.
There are, and that's something that we recommend our families to use and to install our cameras. Not only is it nice for peace of mind, but it's also nice to kind of just check in during the day and see while you're at work what's going on at home, the fun that's being had, and the learning and the teaching that is going on. So it's definitely a nice thing to have in the home, regardless of whether you're concerned or not.
When I'm interviewing candidates, speaking with them, one of the questions that I ask is if they're comfortable having cameras in the home to have them to be watched by the family or whatever the case may be. And if anyone shows any hesitation with that, they immediately don't go on to the next step. It raises a red flag. And so they have the expectation that the families that I'm working with have been coached to put cameras in their home. Also, a big step that we take to ensure that nannies are not going to do anything harmful to the children is talking to their past references. So while I call and personally speak with each one of the families that they've worked with in the past, the families also have the ability to call references as well. So in the final stages, when they're interested in a candidate, they can call that candidate's references, talk to the families, ask specific questions, poke around, and really make sure that they feel good about their decision.
That's amazing. Now, are your nannies also insured?
We are insured. We have general liability insurance and professional liability insurance here.
Right, because sometimes things happen. Your nanny takes her child to the park and they take a little trip or a fall, right?
That's true. And then each nanny has the ability to also have his or her own personal insurance as well to cover them.
Let's talk a little bit about even just the nanny controversy. Why do you believe that a nanny is important as opposed to, and we know it's not possible for all, a child staying home with the parent an extended period of time, or even just about going to school. There's a lot of early learning programs now. Parents want their child to be socialized, at 1 year old or 2 years old. So, why a nanny?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that school is a very important aspect in a young child's life, and the socialization, there's no question about that. Having a nanny really allows a parent to customize the day of how their child is going to interact with other children, whether it be via gym classes or a music class that your nanny is able to take your children to. But really, you get to set the schedule. You get to wait for your nanny to come in the morning, as opposed to the hustle and bustle of trying to get not only yourself off to work, but get your child off to daycare and things like that. So the convenience factor is really huge.
The child happens to be sick and can't go to daycare because they have a fever. Most of the nannies that we work with are more than happy and experienced in providing sick care. So hey, my nanny's going to be home with my kid all day today. I'm going to get updates every 30 minutes on how their temperature is doing, and I can still go to this super important meeting at work or whatever it may be. So it allows for consistent care versus a daycare that may be closed on a holiday, or you need somebody on the weekends and your child is used to this person being there all week. They can then come on the weekends as well, instead of a sitter they only see, every couple of months. So definitely very personalized care. You are in control of every aspect of your nanny from the time they get there in the morning until the evening.
So let's talk a little bit about what do you look for when you're hiring a nanny? CPR certified, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
What else?
Yes, of course. So I'm the one that does all of the qualifications of caregivers. So I meet with them in person after looking at an application and having a phone interview. My process dwindles down the candidates that I'm looking for. So their application looks great. I talk to them on the phone. If I have a productive phone interview with them, I then meet with them in person. If I like how they are in person, and I'll touch on a few things that I definitely look for in someone, I then have conversations with their references over the phone, and then we go to that background check and drug test screening. That's when they're technically 10-step qualified. But when I'm actually meeting with somebody in person, it's hard to tell a lot about somebody over the phone, so you're really just picking up the small details. But in person, when I'm meeting with somebody, I pull from my own experience as a nanny. I think that it gives me some insight on what it really takes to be a nanny that is in it for the right reasons. A nanny that is working because they want to, and this is what they enjoy, versus a nanny that this is kind of what they have to do. So I ask very specific questions about their views on discipline, things that they like to do, and them and the children's spare time, and just their responses to questions, whether they sound rehearsed or really genuine, is typically how I form my own opinion. And I pull from conversations that I've had with families about what they're looking for in a caregiver, keeping all of that in the back of my head. So when I'm matching people together, I'm thinking, okay, this is what this family wanted, these particular characteristics. This caregiver possesses all of those. They definitely need to meet. So it's a lot of where the personalized approach comes in, is I'm piecing people together in my mind.
That's right. You're making a perfect match.
Yeah, definitely. So I think a couple of the key factors that we really look for are by far the experience, because that's important. Experience in different settings of childcare, whether it be a daycare setting or as a professional nanny. The professionalism is also extremely important to us, because we do take this as a career. This is a career of this individual nanny. But we also want that warmth and that loving that really parents really look for, that the nanny can give to their children when they aren't there. So really just a replacement for mom and dad kind of throughout the day to help the kids get
And it's really not a replacement, more of an addition. You're just another part.
A tag team.
Don't replace mom and dad.
No, absolutely not, no.
Of course not, but we can get as close as possible to finding somebody who's going to carry on those same tactics of how they want to handle undesirable behavior, or somebody who's going to exude almost everything that mom and dad do when they're home to the nanny.
That's right. And a nanny is not just sometimes for one child. It could be for multiple children. That nanny could take one child to daycare and then come back home and still take care of the younger child. Does your nanny agency also cater to all families?
We do. So we help people who need just date night care. So they have childcare arrangements during the week and then just want to go out for a date night. We have an excellent group of sitters that will come occasionally on date nights. We also have a temporary on-call service. So if for some reason your nanny were to call out sick, or you really needed to go into the office and your childcare arrangements fell through, we can place somebody in your home. I mean, we've done so in less than 20 minutes before, had somebody on their way over to people. So that's a good service. Yeah, so young kids, toddlers, infants, baby nurses, all the way up to after-school care for teenagers and preteens who just need somebody to kind of drive and get them back and forth to activities, help with homework. The whole spectrum is what we specialize in.
If we wanted to contact you, let's say I need a nanny, or if you need a nanny at home, how can we contact you?
Our website has a couple of ways to reach us, yournannyboutique.com. Our phone number is there. That comes directly to me. I'm available pretty much 24/7. And then we have our email address. So email, phone, and a ton of information about everything that we do is on our website as well.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks
Thank
so much,
you.
Laura.
Thank you for joining us on Parents and Baby TV. We look forward to seeing you next time.